What's going on, everybody? Gustav the 13th here with another video for the 23rd of July 2026. We are in full swing for the 8th anniversary of Gundam Battle Operation 2 here, and our flagship suit, including with our new intro and all that good stuff, is the V2 Assault Buster Gundam, a 750 General 5-star with 2 priority, among some other interesting things going on here. So despite some of the other possibilities that it would have had with the shields and that big V-beam and all that other stuff, we're not really getting a lot of that. It's mostly focusing on the rifle and the shoulder-mounted stuff like the cannon and the scattergun and all that good stuff. It also, and I forgot about this, it does have its own Vesper cannons as well. A lot of this stuff you can fire mid-air. It also does have the Monosky craft, so when you're doing the M mode, the N mode, a lot of this is mobile firing as well. We have an interesting setup here with the barrier bit system. We have a wide defense, which is a little bit shorter in terms of duration, and the smaller, just regular deployment, which lasts a lot longer. Both of them have an overheat time of 35 seconds. Launches barrier bits linked as a mega beam shield. After the weapon is used, barrier bits are deployed, with melee and range attacks negated by an inverted triangular eye field. Tackling power is also enhanced while deployed. Choosing to reload, mobile suit takes melee attack or trigger counter while barrier bits are deployed will disable them. Note that if your unit pulls off a counter disabling the barrier bits, the heat gauge will fully recover. And for the wide defense, it's a little bit more in there. So tackling power is also significantly enhanced when deployed, altering reaction to tackle so that enemies that are not toppled or under a status effect can be knocked back. So you actually get to slam people with that barrier bit and just, you know, smack them upside the head. Usual stuff, choose to reload, all that. Note that if you pull off a counter, you'll fully recover. The Vespers must stop to fire but offer suppression. Enemy takes damage if the M drive control unit is activated. Buffer damage reduction is negated. This weapon is also being able to be shot mid-air. So in general, the range on these is like 400 and up for some of the longer range stuff. A lot of stop to fire between these two, and 350 for the Vesper, as well as 275. The lowest thing obviously being the Vulcans, which is at 200 meters, but still in general, pretty good array of just ranges here. The Mega Beam Cannon being the longest range thing is a little bit dangerous just because it is another stop to fire. Very long, like you hold down as long as you wanted Garobi, but depending, regardless of your duration of holding, when you fire it, heat rate's still 100%. So, you know, make it count. Try to use it in a way that, you know, is a bit more comfortable, and maybe as a follow-up stun or something like that. Outside the fire deals continuous damage. Damage and reaction from ranged attacks while attacking, and staggered due to cumulative damage are reduced as well. This weapon can also be fired in mid-air. Also note that if the M-Drive controller skill system is activated, additional damage is dealt to enemy units exceeding a certain amount of HP. And in a similar situation here, the M-Drive stuff can also be used during high-speed movement if the M-Drive unit control system is activated. So Monosky giving a lot of leeway. This has mobile firing as well. Normal and focused fire offer suppression, and focused fire can penetrate mobile suits. Can be used during high-speed movement while the M-Drive control unit skill is activated, dealing additional focus fire damage to enemy units exceeding a certain amount of HP. You're going to see a lot of that because they want you to be able to kind of just really thwack or finish off suits with some of this stuff. Standard stuff for the Vulcans themselves. It's interesting to go, by the way, from regular V2 to this, where you're just kind of handling just one single like melee pattern going on. Strong follow-up is baseline 300, 3k power, much like most Gundams. As you can see here, the range and melee are pretty balanced, and the slottage is pretty generous in, you know, for the most part. So you can lean it one way or the other, although to be honest, most people are probably going to just do a lot of mobility parts and stuff like that. Getting into the stats then, we have 25k health, ballistic beam and melee resistance are 26, 40, and 26. Range strength is 38, and melee strength is 37. Movement speed is 145 with a top speed of 230, thruster gauge of 80, and a turning speed of 84. Definitely pretty generous with that. Something else to keep in mind, although I don't know how many people are really going to use this, if this is you know, on here scope wise. But anti-blast stabilizer flap 1. So very similar to the regular V and all that stuff. You can flap, but you're gonna burn through your boost a lot, even if you really put the ox burners and all that good stuff. But fall prevention system, power accelerator 2, special emergency evasion system 1, fall prevention, or not fall prevention, air maneuver armor, high spec ambac, melee composite, high performance thruster, raise counter. And then we have the left arm's defense system. So reduce HP loss by 30% when weapons equipped to that arm are attacked. Also reduces stagger from cumulative damage. If damage taken is 2,000 or less, apart from toppling attacks or tackles, reaction is reduced. We also have long range adapters. So this is the thing I was talking about. Sniper mode can be used while in flight. While in sniper mode, you can use the left stick to zoom up to 6 times with the scope, display the radar, and change weapons. Also, while in sniper mode, the enemy unit's ballistic resistance and beam resistance are partially nullified. Time required to focus decreases by 40%, and your unit's turning performance increases by 30. Note that the weapon cannot be changed while in the prone position. So, interesting. Oh, it feels like it kind of betrays the nature of the suit, just when it comes to trying to do that mobile shooting and all this other stuff. But if you really want to lean into them with maybe the shoulder cannon or whatever else, and just start switching through your stuff because you think you have a good perch somewhere while you're in Minosky craft and all that, you know, go crazy, I guess. In that case, we also had the I feel G reactive armor. When reactive armor is attacked by ranged beam weapons, damage taken and staggered due to cumulative damage are reduced. Also, shoulder damage is taken under a certain amount. Reaction is just flat out nullified. In any young Jedi control unit itself, press the touchpad to activate the skill, boosting attack and mobility. Reducing thruster consumption for high-speed movement, reducing stagger buildup during high-speed movement, and altering the performance of compatible weapons. When moving forward for a certain amount of time at high speed, wings of light are generated, staggering and damaging all enemies your unit or wings collide with, and forcing those enemies to consume a set amount of thruster. While the wings are generated, heat rate, recovery speed, and recovery speed for compatible weapons is also boosted. And you'll see that little icon come up when it comes to boosted, when it comes to cooldowns and stuff like that. When activated on the ground, you will enter flight mode. Continuous actions can be performed mid-air, while all actions sync to the reticle and damage reaction is reduced, but attack boosting effect is lowered. Auto thruster consumption and recovery will be halted while the skill is activated, and the skill will be temporarily disabled if cancelled. It can also be used underwater. So, you know, for anyone who's already familiar with the stuff on the V2 and all that, you know, similar deal. I feel like the M drive also just giving you a lot of different behavioral stuff while it's active for your weapons is pretty nice. That's one of the bigger gimmicks, I would think, for this suit in particular. Looking at the upgrades, then we have +100 to range strength, +100 to unit HP. Complex expansion slot is at the end of the regular upgrades for 4,600. You get +5 for range strength for the first unlockable, and the second unlockable is reduced range damage to mobile suit HP by 10% when toppled. So in general, and I'll probably be saying this pretty consistently while we're talking about this and showing it off. This isn't a overwhelmingly kind of crazy or intense suit in some cases, especially when it comes to using that defensive system and all that, but it is a very safe suit because of that. And it's got, you know, good old 5-star privilege when it comes to just having good output, being able to really, you know, punish and do things that other suits at these cost ranges that aren't quite, you know, as coveted can do. So the Mega Beam, you let it go and it does the overheat. Charge here actually turns into a blue beam. The spray in this case is pretty high accumulation, and by that I mean it pretty much just stuns to hell and back unless you're just spraying something that's, you know, Minosky crafted or whatever, and you usually get a couple bursts and they're able to go down. But of course, even with that extra turning speed and stuff, it's a little bit tough to kind of hold on to people with that. And, you know, a couple examples of us using in the air. I missed every shot. Amazing. So for the barrier bits, nice little bit of collision there. Where's the little one? So, oh my god, it's just hitting shields and shred. It's 2692. Let's see if it's actually a little bit less. Well, significantly less, but I think I also hit a binder with that. And then, of course, if you do the tackle with the big barrier shield, and it knocks them back. You know, but you also have to be a little bit careful because the shield's not going to last too much longer after you do that. And you, of course, if you don't get a counter and you just do the regular knockback, you're going to have, you know, a bit of a hard time escaping. Bouncing is pretty generous on this thing. In general, gonna be pretty consistent with just the amount of output and stuff that it can do. That being said, not super crazy when it comes to the base buildup and all that good stuff. But one thing about this suit is that even though it does have these interesting gimmicks and stuff, it's also very straightforward because of the way that it works, and it's just, you know, like a list of weapons and whatever. Especially because we're also not contending with the idea of this having like a heavy attack. As you can see when we're in end drive, you know, it's not necessarily like a super mode or a Hades or whatever where it gets like a crazy limiter release version of its stuff. It's just constantly doing what it does. You know, kind of just firing on all cylinders all the time with some neater interactions when it comes to when you're in the end drive mode itself. And I can appreciate that. That being said, I mean, outside of the extra properties for the shields and stuff, that's the long and short of it for this. We do have a match, and as always for Vanderdraut Night, pretty rough go of it when it came to us trying to get a proper one to show off here, but we did get a win towards the end, and we're going to show off that match right around here.
まもなく戦場に到着します。モビルスーツ隊、出撃準備をお願いします。
Yeah, that's not what I'm not sure about that either. I don't know if adding certain parts makes it visually gain different stuff that it shouldn't.
作戦開始。
I don't know if they mean the type of suit that it's put on. But, you know, I don't really expect anything less from, you know, the fact that it's called Hollow anyway. And he just fucking straight-faced left it like that. Oh my god. Reverse. Oh wait.
友軍が敵機をマーキングしました。 無駄ないよ。再出撃の場所と方法を選択してください。まるをよく見ないか。友軍が敵モビルスーツ。再出撃お願いします。
Champion.
よく見ないか。 この程度のダメージ問題ないです。友軍が敵モビルスーツを撃破。ダメージ。友モビルスーツの展開が近い。脱出。 地点の制圧を確認。友軍が敵モビルスーツを撃破。モビルスーツ対破。
Doing alright.
友軍が敵
Had like a big old delay for the banner dropping, so now we're just trying to get in here with the suit. These matches have been shitty.
友軍が敵モビルスーツを撃破。再出撃お願いします。
The stuff in the Contia wasn't too bad, but I'm not gelling with the new suit.
見ないから。友軍が敵モビルスーツを撃破。友軍が
Oh,
モビルスーツの分解が近い。脱出を。よく見ないから。モビルスーツ対破。みんなないよ。友軍が敵モビルスーツを撃破。
I wonder if we're gonna get the trailer for the Gacha chanted whatever.
友軍が敵機をマーキン
Good
グしました。
Tratlin.
再出撃お願いします。
Especially since this is a general. They might genuinely try to make that a support. And I'm worried because it's probably not gonna do well. If they do some crazy shit with it.
ダメージ増加。距離が不思議すぎます。モビルスーツの分友軍が敵モビルスーツを撃破。友軍が敵機をマーキングしました。敵モビルスーツ撃破。友軍が敵モビルスーツを撃破。 敵モビルスーツ撃破。
Oh my god. Yeah.
戦況は我々が優勢です。
Yeah, raid in general. Like they tried and they'll continue trying, I'm sure, but like no one's gonna really spring for a 5-star support like that.
中継地点の制圧を確認。 モビルスーツ対破。いらないよ。
It's just interesting because like
敵機をマーキングし
if it really is the Gutch or whatever,
マーキングしました。
it's got a giant HML on it with an entire back binding that like holds it in place. It's got
再出撃。
a beam horn and tonfas. Nothing about like a saber or anything crazy like that.
作戦時間残り
So unless they just give it like 3 melee, which is possible, I guess. Yeah.
敵機をマーキングしました。友軍が敵機をマーキングしました。
And of course. And of course. I'm gonna get in the way.
ダメージ増加。距離が不思議すぎなのよ。 友
Go down, go down, go down, go down, go down.
残り1分敵モビルスーツ撃破友軍は敵機をマーキングしました友軍は敵モビルスーツ
Okay. Here, have a level 3 melee. You can hit, but and I'm assuming it's probably gonna have like a collision thing with the horn and all that shit. We'll see how they actually really translate that, because it's also just gonna have a giant ass because of the fucking gun being strapped back there.
はい出撃お願いします友軍のシグナルをキャッチ
Weird.
作戦時間終了我々の勝利ですよ
Why no shorty, dude? Okay. Damn. Also, no, don't start this shit. But yeah, interesting setup. So that was one of our more successful runs in the V2 Great, Buster. Do I think this is gonna stick around? Yeah. Do I think it's particularly, like, crazy compared to other shoots that have come out? Not really. But again, this is one of those very... I don't want to say milquetoast, because it is neat. But it is one of those safer, like, rarity privileged kind of suits where you know it's just going to be a good, solid, like, daily driver for climbing and doing stuff like that. Do I think that there should be a bunch of them all the time? No. Right now, especially because people are just getting it, you're going to find that a lot of the lobbies are just going to be filled with these. And you're probably not going to get a very good sign of what it's really going to look like to have this around until we get past that first maybe week or so. Especially because I'm pretty sure we're going to get the Gutratlin, whatever the fuck that Katajina pilots, since it was in the trailer for this suit. And whether or not we get that next week, or if they try to do like a skip week where we just do like a smaller cost suit, we'll just have to see as we get closer. Probably by this coming Monday or Tuesday we'll have that information. We'll have to see. That being said, there are 2 other videos that are going to be on the way. I'm going to be doing recordings for those a little bit later than this. We got the Haimo Jagan as a token suit, and another Hazel 2, a different designation of Hazel 2, but still the same name, as a side banner for a 72-hour kind of FOMO step-up. We do have both, so over time we'll be checking those out. That being said, as you can probably tell from the color scheme, this is an Asian New Sama special. I did not have the suit myself. And again, not that I think it's bad, but it doesn't really seem quite so crazy. Maybe once we see some folks who really put it through its paces, we'll have a better idea of just how vicious this thing can be. But it feels like other suits are able to kind of hold themselves pretty well against this thing. The gimmick of the shields is nice, but there's ways to circumvent them. The Kantio with its lock-on claw can more often than not hit around it and give you an opening, other things like that. But it's gonna be a long and short of it for the V2 Assault Buster. Because this isn't on my account, we will be fighting against it, but I'm not gonna have it. If I really absolutely fold and just try to get that Haro, then maybe we'll do it. But the other 2 suits we'll be able to do pretty regularly when we get to those cost ranges, so hopefully I can get the recordings for those pretty soon. But for now, in terms of the Assault Buster, this is Gustav the 13th. Good luck if you do end up spitting for this and all that good stuff, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.